Okej. Okej, vännen. Så. Okej. Host, host. Host, host. She's got a lot of saliva to deal with right now, which is actually kind of a good sign because it means that we have adequate hydration levels on her, but I don't like that she's coughing this much because I'm afraid she's going to start throwing up again. Hi, YouTube. Come and join us in hospital, as I'm sure you've worked out that we are just by the first few seconds of this. And look at that dreadlock. Look at that mess. I need to try and brush that out. Elin's back in hospital. And yes, it is seizures. It's always seizures that lands her in hospital. And I'm going to try and have her looking a little... There we are. There we are. Okay, so she has an NG tube in, and that is for drainage. There's nothing wrong with her feeding tube. That's still there and is working fine. Yes, the NG tube is for draining her stomach of stomach acid because she was throwing up so much. She really was throwing up so much. And there was nothing in there to throw up, so she just kept producing acid and throwing it up, and it's quite horrible. We have a cannula in that is still, touch wood, still going strong. This is only the second cannula. Mind you, we've only done 2 nights. She has 3 wires attached to her chest that measure heart rate and respiratory rate, and then she has her oxygen sats monitor on her toe. So yeah, with that, so NG tube, feeding tube, cannula, 3 wires on her chest and a wire on her toe, and a suction. I'm sitting here with 8 wires and tubes. Woohoo! That's not a lot, is it? Okay, so why are we in hospital? What's going on? How is she doing? We are in hospital because Elin's gone into yet another one of her spirals of nasty seizures, which she does. It seems to be a couple of times a year now. We are quite used to this, but even so, it's not great when we're here. It is Friday, it's Good Friday. Happy Easter, everyone. It's Good Friday today. I took her in on Wednesday. Yes, I took her in on Wednesday. So when I picked her up from Dad on Tuesday, he said she's had a bit of a morning. She's had quite a lot of seizures and she's been throwing up a lot, so I've given her clobazam. Clobazam is our first step rescue medicine. Are you telling me off now? She's telling me off. She doesn't like me brushing her hair. Clobazam is the first step rescue medicine that we give her, which is basically, we are seeing a few more seizures than we like, so we're going to try and stop them. So on Tuesday, she was really, really tired. She'd really struggled to keep anything down that day. And I thought, I'm going to try and put her to bed early, give her another dose of clobazam, put her to bed early. And she didn't fall asleep quickly. It took her quite some time to chill out and fall asleep. But eventually she went to sleep and she slept the night, which was amazing. Because I thought, kind of having seen the amount of seizures she was having and the amount of vomiting she was having, I was like, I'm in for a night, aren't I? But she actually slept through till 4:30 in the morning. But 4:30 she must have had a big seizure and she threw up all over her bed. And at this time it was literally just clear fluid that was coming up because she hadn't eaten enough. And then she just kept having more and more seizures on Tuesday morning. She was properly clustering. She was not responding to the clobazam, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to take her into hospital, aren't I? And luckily enough, Elin's school nurse came around because I picked up Elin's suction machine the day before. So she came around to demonstrate how to use that. And before she came around, jag vet gumman, jag vet du avskyr det här. before she came around, oh baby girl, shall I give you a break? I'd given Elin buccal midazolam, which is her first step rescue medicine, and it's extremely strong. It's an extremely strong medicine. Now, Elin's care plan actually says if you give buccal, you go into hospital, because buccal has, it can cause a floppy airway, which is dangerous because you can't breathe properly with that. We know with Elin, we've given her buccal midazolam enough times now that we know that she is not one of the children who gets that. And we'd already talked about changing her care plan. So I gave her buccal before I had decided to take her into hospital. I kind of went, right, let's give her buccal, see what happens. So I'd given her buccal before the school nurse arrived, and she had a bit of a nap. Things kind of settled down, but she woke up again and she started fitting again. So I asked the school nurse if she wouldn't mind sitting with Elin while I packed, because I needed to take her down to hospital. So she did. I got everything packed and ready and brought Elin in, and they did a blood test for her in A&E, on her in A&E. Kind of went, yeah, I think we're gonna give her some IV lorazepam, which is again very similar to buccal midazolam. It's the same kind of drug, but before they've given that, she was they were told that there was a space for her in the pediatric ward, so they brought her up here, and then we kind of waited and we waited. So it's not been the most effective. I have to say that in her previous 2 lockdown hospitalizations were so efficient. Like, they were so efficient. Everything was so quick. This time it wasn't that quick. I may have told the doctor to get a welly on. But, you know, when I did tell the doctor to get a damn welly on, he got a welly on, and he got the ward matron on my side, and we were incredibly well looked after that. Sometimes it's just needed. But Elin was supposed to have started a second day-to-day epilepsy medicine before this happened. She was supposed to have started sodium valproate, and I'm going to have a little bit of a moan and complain right now, because she wasn't allowed to start sodium valproate until she had a blood test checking her liver function, and when I brought her in, it was 3 weeks after the decision to start on sodium valproate, and she still hadn't had the damn blood test. Sorry, shouldn't be swearing. She still hadn't had the blood test because the person who was supposed to send the blood test papers through to children's phlebotomy hadn't done that. So I mentioned all of this to the doctor here, and he said, did they take bloods in A&E? And I went, yeah. And he said, we're here. He came back half an hour later and said, we had enough bloods, we've checked her liver function, she's fine, we can start her on sodium valproate. So that was a really, really positive one in all of this, that we got her onto the sodium valproate, and I have to say that I actually think it's had an effect. The negative about all of this is the question, do you have a care plan for when she's like this? And I'm going, no, we don't. We don't have a care plan. We have a day-to-day care plan for, you know, how we treat her epilepsy when it's kind of fine. And we have a rescue care plan, what we do when things start escalating, but we do not have a hospital care plan. And we need one. The problem is we don't know how to treat this. We have no idea how we stop this when it has started. We don't know what triggers these nasty spirals of seizures, but we know that occasionally she just goes into a non-stop fitting, and every seizure causes her to throw up. And then, you know, when she's been throwing up acid for long enough, what she's throwing up is acid and blood, and it must be so painful. And her little heart is racing like mad for every seizure as well. So it's like she's running. It's like she's running for 24 hours, for 36 hours. Like, it's mental. Her heart is so high. This time around, it's like she was running a 30-second sprint every 2 minutes for 24 hours. Imagine if you were doing that, how exhausted you must have been. When she was really bad, her heart rate maxed out at 190 during every seizure. Yesterday morning, she only got up to 155 with every seizure. So they were lessening, but they still weren't easing off. And I was with her here the first night. She did not sleep. She didn't get any rest because the seizures wouldn't let her. And Dad was here the second night, and again, no rest. She didn't get any sleep. The seizures didn't let her. What we tried, so I gave her buckle at home, and then she got lorazepam here, and that didn't help. And then she got phenytoin here, and that kind of helped. She got a nap after that. And then we started sodium valproate. So she's been, from the first night, she's been on IV sodium valproate and Keppra. And that seemed to help. That combination gave her a couple of hours rest. And we've also been giving her clobazam. So buccal midazolam, lorazepam, phenytoin, clobazam, Keppra, and sodium valproate. So 6 different epilepsy medicines. And we've been giving her ondansetron, which is an antiemetic to try and stop her from throwing up so much. And she's also been having intravenous omeprazole, which is an anti-acid. And they put her on broad spectrum antibiotic because her temperature goes up when she's been fitting for long enough. What else have we been giving her? What else have you had? What else have you had? IV drip, of course, and paracetamol. We're not giving her any Nurofen because obviously her stomach is irritated enough, so she doesn't need something that causes an irritated stomach. She's doing pretty well. Actually, she's doing remarkably well. This is only 2 nights, and she is already tolerating chicken broth. So here's a blended diet thing for you. Dad made an enormous bunch of chicken broth. So now that we are starting to trying to get some something into her stomach, rather than going down the route of trying to give her formula or trying to give her Diarylite, we give her chicken broth, and touch wood, it's gone all right so far. I mean, we've only put 80 milliliters into her, and that's over the span of several hours. Started just after lunch, and it's now 5:30. But yeah, her stomach seems settled enough on the chicken broth. Yes. Yeah, so I mean, what I need for her now is a good night's sleep. I think a good night's sleep is necessary because she's absolutely shattered. And then more food into her tomorrow. And the doctors are saying that if her seizures have eased off, and if the chicken broth stays in her stomach, then we might start looking at a discharge tomorrow morning. Now this is the Easter weekend, so I'm going to ask the doctors to prepare pharmacy for us potentially being discharged tomorrow morning, because the pharmacy is going to be closed tomorrow afternoon. So it'd be good to get stuff we need. Like, I need to get more buccal midazolam home because I now don't have any, because I used that up. The one I had, I used that up. And also the ondansetron, the antiemetic that I have at home, is only allowed to be open for 30 days, so I need a new bottle. And the clobazam is only allowed to be open for 30 days, so I need a new bottle of that as well. Yeah. Hey ho. Lots of stuff. But yeah, we're doing all right, and the hospital ward are feeding us, the parents who are in. So we're being looked after, and I was given a cup of tea there. So I'm going to sit down and have a cup of tea. I'm going to stop this here. This is already too bloody long. Yeah, I'm going to stop this here and say thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to say now thank you for all your well wishes. I've already had loads from you on Instagram and Facebook, and I know I will have loads more when I post this. So we love having you along with us on this journey. As I said, little girl is doing better than she was. She just needs some proper sleep now, and then we should be looking at coming home fairly soon after that. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.